happened? Where did everybody go? Why is the hive empty? I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out. I don't know what happened. I just took a short nap, and soon all the worker bees were gone. You stay here. I'm gonna go try to figure out what happened. Sally, I don't know what happened. I flew into my hive, and all my worker bee buddies were gone. The queen says she has no idea what happened.
I'm sorry, Billy, but I don't think we're going to be able to find any of your friends.
Oh no!
Unfortunately, what just happened to Billy is not a rare occurrence. In fact, bee populations have been drastically decreasing. Over the past decade or so, beekeepers began reporting losses of more than 30%. This has increased to 40 to 50% in more recent years. In 2015, it was reported that 42% of bee colonies had collapsed in the US. Billy, I think your hive has been affected by something called colony collapse disorder, or CCD for short.
CCD? What's that?
CCD is a phenomenon that occurs when most of the worker bees in a colony suddenly disappear. The queen, young bees, and nurse bees are left behind in the hive, as well as an abundant amount of food. However, because worker bees are necessary to sustain the hive, their disappearance eventually leads to the collapse of the entire colony.
But where'd they all go?
What's most puzzling about CCD is that dead bees cannot usually be found near the hive.
Do you know why this happened though?
Scientists and researchers still aren't sure exactly what causes CCD. However, they have narrowed it down to a few possible factors. The varroa mite, an invasive species that is a pest to honeybees, as well as new diseases, poisoning by pesticides, changes to the habitat, poor nutrition, and stress possibly caused by the factors listed above. This stress could then lead to damage to a bee's immune system, making it more susceptible to disease.
So my hive was affected by CCD? That's why everybody disappeared?
Most likely, yes. However, colony collapse disorder isn't the only threat that bees are facing today.
There's even more?
Yes. Unfortunately, bees face many dangers that threaten their lives. As far as we know right now, CCD only affects colonies of honeybees. But there are many other threats that other species of bees face. Pesticide poisoning can happen outside of CCD as well. Acute pesticide poisoning occurs when hives are exposed to toxic levels of pesticides, resulting in a very high death rate. A large pile of bees is often found near the hive. This is very different from CCD and can usually be avoided if proper measures are taken.
Wow, pesticides really are quite harmful for us.
Beehives can also become highly diseased, leading to high casualties. And another really big problem that affects the entire world, not only bees, is climate change. As you have probably heard before, climate change causes many severe consequences for our planet, causing it to gradually become warmer. This can disrupt the natural cycle between bees and the flowers they pollinate. Many species of bees hibernate during the winter months. When they return in the spring, many flowers should be in full bloom. However, due to climate change, when bees come out of hibernation, many of the plants that would normally be flowering are not.
Yeah, I did notice that earlier this year. After taking a good long rest for a few months, we were ready to go back to business with all that pollinating, but a bunch of flowers were still in those tight little buds. We couldn't get to as much pollen and nectar. Me and the other bees in the hive were really hungry for a while. But with all that's going on, how are bees supposed to survive? Will we all die? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel to see more content like this. See you next time on Billy the Bee. Bye!